Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show with Aditya, India's number one podcast, with India's number one host, Aditya, with new episodes coming to you live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. In association with Dusra.net, the number one website in sports, education, and entertainment. May, the time of the year when the entire country waits with bated breath for the grades 10th and 12th result. Despite our tall claims of reformation in education with respect to the way we learn and not just attend school for the sake of attending school. When it comes to result times, we are our rigid self. This is episode 66 on the 3rd of May 2015, and the time by the studio clock is 10:50 am. In a world obsessed by statistics, where we want to compartmentalize things into average and above average performances, the result of the class 10 and 12th also face the same measurement. The higher the percentage, the more accolade for the students. This is a paradoxical situation, especially at times when we are trying to wean away from rote based education. Yet, when it comes to these results, for us, the higher the percentage, the smarter the student is. Our obsession to get in that club makes us rigid. We compartmentalize this into various categories, such as where the student did his or her schooling from, what was the educational background, and what was the economic situation of the parents. Here also it becomes the have versus the have nots. What was your subject in 12th also affects how the student fared. Since we have stereotyped humanities or arts as an easier subject, so there is this expectation that each and every student is expected to get above 95% in this subject. Whereas, since science subjects that also include our PCM is a difficult subject, so anyone scoring 90 plus means that this individual has worked hard, burnt a midnight oil, refrained themselves from computers and going out and having a good time. This proves that we have yet not weaned away from rote learning. This situation becomes more hilarious when these students become the source of competition between various institutions. Which part of the country saw more 90 plus students? Was it the affluent, the metropolitan cities? Was it the rural part of the country? Were students from government and municipal schools, or were they from private institutions, or were the students from open school? The faults continue when discrimination arises. What about that student who, let's say, did not score 99% but scored 89%? Is that individual not good enough to be mentioned? Is 95% a mark of one's intelligence? Let's take an example. For example, Virat Kohli has an average of 55, while Vijay Shankar has an average of 33 so far. We automatically conclude that Vijay Shankar has not been good enough and should not be a part of the team, while Virat Kohli is a genius for being consistent with his average above 50. This debate continues with when we include the GDP. The higher the GDP is, the more happy the country is, and increasing salary also is a contributing factor. Our university system continues to be obsolete, where we base the entrance into a college based on class 12 marks or entrance exam. In short, class 12th results affect the university's cutoff like a share market. Then we ironically complain about brain drain or the mushrooming of private colleges. Students who are not able to fulfill that high cutoff will have no option but to take admissions in private colleges. Our obsession with the perfect number is evident when those who miss the mark by a couple of points are not given the same pat on the back as those who are perfect with the perfect number. I still do not agree that scoring the perfect 100 is directly proportional to being smart and understanding the subject. Rather, it is all about rote learning and mugging up. Since over the time we become aware that the evaluators look for answers which are published in textbooks, so as a habit, for example, when it comes to definition, we rather mug up the answer than understand it and write in our own words. So the formula is write the answers that are already in the textbooks as well as those answers which we presume will be in the evaluator's sheet. And if those answers match, you are in for a golden ride. So mug up, please the evaluator, and you are in for a topper's position. In a way, this is a win-win situation for everyone. The student writes the answers that they have mugged up, that they have been told by their teachers to write in those very specific words, including the commas, the full stops, the paragraphs. For the evaluator, the more such answers they have to evaluate, the faster they can evaluate, and also just without thinking, they just give them full marks. While those individuals who think for a while and write in their own words, that does put the evaluator off, and then they have to cut marks because those answers are not in sync with the answers that have been given to them or that have been present in the textbooks. So, as is our wont, we forget the ones who have not scored the marks we want them to score. The class 10th results also have some kind of significance because the student now chooses specific subjects. In a way, class 11th and 12th becomes junior college. An article in the newspaper states that excess screen time raises stress hormone levels, which can affect heart rate, spike blood sugar, cause high BP. In a lot of ways, I am conflicted with this statement. So, if I am not to use the phone, then what is the solution? Is it reading books? But then, even there, we have a problem. Reading books means using paper, and in this environment of being obsessed with pollution and the diminishing trees, cutting off trees is now considered to be a social sin. So, no phones, and in a way, books are now a luxury. But then we have commercials which cajole students to use those learning apps, as these very commercials state that classroom learning is now becoming obsolete. What else can we do? We go and meet people outside. That too is becoming a luxury, by the way. Meeting people outside means meeting in a restaurant. Then a restaurant also means having those junk foods Junk foods also lead to high blood pressure. Then we are back to square one. Books are a luxury. Phones give you blood pressure. Going out and having outside food also gives you all kinds of diseases. Then this is conflicting. So I want these people who come out with such research to give a clear answer as to what one should do if one wants to spend time away from the phone and related gadgets. I came out with a solution for the same. You have those crossword puzzles in the newspaper? Well, play crossword. This will increase your cognition as well as vocabulary. Play chess. Yes, you can find anyone on this planet to play chess with you. This also helps you in concentration. In fact, the municipal corporation should take a lead in this. The big parks that we are proud of in our country, there we should have tables where we can play chess. All they have to do is provide tables and they can encourage people to bring their own chess boards. This kills two birds with one stone. We spend time in nature under trees, that is, we breathe oxygen and not spend time in our house consuming carbon dioxide, or do what I have been doing for a while. I took a trip to a sports bar. There I played my favorite game after chess, that is bowling. This is not your conventional run of the mill kind of sporting activity. Well, nor am I the conventional run of the mill kind of a person. Sometimes you just need to enjoy the game instead of getting into the technicalities and the jargons. These two games help me concentrate. So, which is the second game, you ask? It's a game of darts. It also helps in concentration. I am one of those individuals who did not tweet or put it on a Facebook post, as I do not feel the need to boast it to everyone. Avengers Endgame. Did it live up to the frenzy that had been created over the past 12 months? Yes, it did. Using the theme of time travel, this particular movie kept us on our toes till the last second, juxtaposing the characters' personal and professional commitments, showing their conflict in this regard, as each of the characters work towards uniting with their loved one. For the first time, we saw an Avengers movie where each of the character had a different goal as to why they were on the same page to vanquish a common enemy in Thanos. That conflicts reminded one of Hamlet and Othello. This is also a first time where none of the characters are bothered about their ego clashes as to who is the best. If it was Tony Stark's scientific prowess along with Bruce Banner, then it was the wizardry and the sorcery of Doctor Strange, and pooling all the available resources by using any method possible, even if it meant sacrificing a valuable member of the team. In this context, the end justified the means. And as Spock would say, logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or one. Skipping breakfast may increase the risk of death and other cardiovascular ailments. What doesn't? So let's analyze, why do individuals skip breakfast? You need to reach college by 8:30 a.m. but you get up at 7:30 a.m. Whether you are a college student or working. Skipping breakfast makes one kind of a demigod, giving the impression that we are so busy that we don't have time to eat such frivolous meals. That's absolute rubbish. One would rather skip a class or reach late than skip breakfast. But that's a very small percentage of people who do that. And the opinion of breakfast to eat or not to eat is always divided. If you have to leave by 8:30, don't get up at 7:30. But there is a long drawn excuse for that as well. Assignments, multiple assignments, which means we go late into the night. In college, those who are able to come after having breakfast from their homes are given a stare, especially for those who are not living in their hometowns, those who are living in accommodations and hostels. And yet again, we are back to square one. For everything that we do that is too much of screen time, including computers, tablets, phones, it leads to cardiovascular diseases. And everything we don't do, that is skip breakfast or dinner or lunch, we are in the same boat. And then we hear lectures about this term called work-life balance. For me, this term is meaningless. So if you want to be a part of my show, please send your valuable suggestions and send your recordings on topics ranging from sports, education and entertainment on the email ID Aditya the writer at gmail.com. That is Aditya the writer at gmail.com. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please like and subscribe to my Facebook page and YouTube channel and stay tuned for the next episode.